don't know, because I usually reserve that for like a surprise. Once people start working with me, they get to see Read 2.0 and they're like, oh, wow, I hired a trucker to shoot my movie.
Welcome back to Craft Truck, Through the Lens. We're very lucky today to have with us somebody who has shot straight up through the ranks through sheer innovation, talent, and diligence. Reed Morano. Beginning, did you know you wanted to be a DP?
Oh yeah, because what happened was I didn't know what I wanted to do when I went to college. I just thought, because I wrote stories a lot growing up, and I was more of like I was more of that side of it. I was not a technical person at all. I was just like some nerdy girl who wrote stories a lot. And then eventually my dad brought home one of those like first video cameras. It was like a JVC, one of those gigantic ones.
Oh yeah.
That had literally like
with
the
tape
VHS
in it. You could
tape
put
in
a
it.
tape right into it.
Yeah. I would pick it up all the time when I was bored, and I would shoot. There's like hours and hours of footage of just like the nature outside my house in Long Island, which is not a lot of nature. And it was super boring. And then there's some footage that's really entertaining that's like commercials that I made up with my little brother who's 3 years younger than me. So my brother would like open the shower door and a towel wrapped around him, and he was like 9. And he'd hold up a thing of Germac shampoo and be like, Germac. And then he would like read the thing on the back that it says, you know, like just make something up. And then
he'd drink it?
And then, yeah. He did something for Fantastic, the all-purpose cleaner is what he said, because he was like reading it and didn't know so there's like some really funny things that we did. And
beautiful.
Then music videos with the kids I even did later when I was older.
So you knew you wanted to be a shooter?
I didn't know that at that point. I just did it because I was bored. And it was more like my dad saying, well, it makes sense. You should go to film school because you were a writer. All you did was write stories, and now you like to take photographs. So if you combine those two things, you know, why don't you make movies? And he really wanted me to make movies because he wanted to make movies with me. So
your dad?
My dad did, but he ended up passing away in my freshman year of college.
Sorry to hear.
Yeah, it was like he had a heart attack. He was only 46, and yeah, it was kind of a totally sudden thing. But basically, actually, the interesting thing about what happened is that he sort of pushed me to go to film school. He didn't push me. He just came up with the idea, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a good idea. And when I got into NYU, I was just like, forget all these other schools. I'm going to go to film school. That sounds like the bomb. Yeah, it sounds awesome. So I went to film school, and the very first shoot I worked on was somebody's color sync film, or you know, it was like a color sync film, which is like the third year level, you know, film where they're shooting 16 usually.
Yeah.
On that first shoot is when I just started noticing the DP as a position.
Okay.
Like I didn't even really think about it as a job option, to be honest. And then whatever that guy's doing, that's what I want to do, because he's the one who has his eye on the viewfinder. I want to be the first person to look.
I want to be the one looking through this.
Like I'm kind of I wouldn't say I'm a control freak. You actually kind of have to be you have to be like a weird type of control freak to be a DP, I think, because you're a control freak over what you should, but you have to know that it's actually not for you, it's for someone else. So you have to make what they want, but as long as you can control every... You're
a subservient master.
Yeah, exactly.
So the movie that sort of puts you on the map as Reed Morano, cinematographer, is Frozen River. You look at this movie, and it's one of these movies that it was shot HD?
Yeah, we shot on the Varicam.
So not even really, like almost like second grade HD, right?
Yeah, it was pretty low grade.
And it's a movie that you're watching that, like, at times it feels so candid that you feel like you're, you know, almost like on a home video of right in the action. And then at times it feels completely cinematic. It feels, you know, and it all works together to sort of let this story unfold in a very interesting way. I mean, you got a Melissa Leo giving a phenomenal performance.
Yeah.
A story that's compelling. They hit the beats. She can't afford this house that her husband's gambling.
Right.
It's being taken away every time because she can't afford to pay it. And then the next thing that happens, trying to chase down her husband, she finds this opportunity in terms of human trafficking.
Right.
When you read it, did you go, yeah, this is a really well-structured script? Like this?
Yeah, as soon as I read it, I was like, this is definitely the best script I've ever read that has been offered to me, and we have to do it. And then when we found out, like, you know, it was so tight, the budget, and nobody made any money, but I convinced, you know, a whole bunch of my friends to go up to up there to Plattsburgh, New York, and freeze their asses off for a whole month, and it sucked. But I knew that when I read that script, I was like, this movie could get into Sundance. Not that it would win the Grand Jury Prize, or maybe later be nominated for 7, Independent Spirit Awards, or maybe later be nominated for Academy Awards. Didn't think about that at all. I was just like, this movie is the story is so good. Like, how can you go wrong?
Are there any particular sequences that you're really proud of?
The scene with the baby, everybody, some people hate that. Some people love it. But where they leave the baby, that's a really emotional scene for me, too, because, now if I were to watch it, especially as a mom, I'm like, these people are smuggling their baby across the border, and then, Melissa's playing this typical, like, prejudice, not super smart, upstate, like, kind of, she thinks they have a bomb in their bag, so she just throws it out the car. And also trying to convince the audience that the car was actually going to go through the ice. Those two things are very difficult because, A, we didn't really, most of the time, have a real baby.
You didn't really throw a baby out?
We didn't really put a baby in a duffel
something?
bag.
I don't think I can continue on with this interview here. I mean, just to find out that you faked that. I thought we were talking about genuine action in movies, and I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm leaving. No baby. What do you think this is? This artifice? I couldn't help it.
I mean, it's so obvious, but people who don't work in movies don't always realize that you're constantly putting in a fake doll and trying to make it look real and shit, But the baby, but also the ice thing. Actually, I would say I'm kind of proud of. If people bought that, and I remember watching Frozen River in Eccles Theater at Sundance, where it was seats 1,600 people, and it was a packed theater, and hearing everybody gasp when the car seemed to go through the ice.
Get on your side. Pop the truck. Get cash. Got the cash? Yeah.
And truth be told, we only spent one real day shooting on the ice. On the actual ice.
You spent one day shooting on the ice?
Yeah, I know, it's going to really upset you. We only spent one day out of the whole...
No, it doesn't upset me at all. It's amazing. I love hearing this.
This was the first time I was really up with the challenge of, cheating locations. When we had to do scenes where Melissa and Misty were talking to each other in the car, but it looked outside either window, it looked like they were on an expanse of ice. On water. We didn't really know how we were going to shoot those scenes because we knew we could see out the window. There wasn't enough, the depth of field wasn't shallow enough that we could really cheat it. Any shots that they're inside the car and they're crossing the river, we shot. It was this tiny little stretch of beach, and we just drove one way, and then we turned the car around and drove the other way, turned the car around, drove the other way, and it was just you just have to get creative.
Well, that's innovation right there. That's innovation. That's using the tools that you have. That's fabulous that you did that.
Yeah, we just had to think outside the box. It was like when they told me we weren't going to be able to shoot, we were only going to be able to shoot on the ice. One day I was really disappointed.
And the name of the movie is Frozen River.
Yeah, I was like, but we couldn't afford the ice scientist for more than one day or something. I mean, we were a low budget movie, so.
Yeah. This is a lesson in how to tell a story, passionately, how to get a story told when you're working with whatever you can. Was it because of this movie that you got the call to do Magic of Belle Isle?
When they decided they were shooting in New York area, and Jared Goldman, who's the line producer, I think threw my name into the hat, and I had never worked with him at that point. Got a call from my agent, hey, they want you to meet on this Morgan Freeman, Rob Reiner movie, and I was like,
you're like, no, I don't think you understand. I'm the one you get to shoot the low budget movie, not the one you get to shoot the Rob Reiner movie.
Yeah. And they were like, it's Rob's most low budget movie, and so blah blah blah. He wants to meet, and I was just excited, and that's an example of I was scared to do this. Probably was going to be my most intimidating interview of my life, but I was like, if I've been called into this interview, then I belong there. When they said, oh, how do you feel about a 25-day schedule? And I was like, I had just shot 3 features that were back to back that were 18 days apiece. And I was like, 25 days? I was like, that's easy. I was like, that's luxurious. So they were like, and they're like, do you know the Alexa? And I was like, yeah, I just shot a couple features.
So you're in the meeting, you're talking about this, he's asking you, you like this camera? Yes, I like this camera. 25 days. 25 Days sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I was like totally into it. And I mean, I was being genuine. I wasn't lying. I did like I was just, I was like, you're in a meeting with Rob Reiner right now to shoot a Morgan Freeman movie. You don't sit there and say, I'd rather shoot film. No, you say, I like the Alexa.
Yeah, right.
You want the job, then you should be agreeable. When you get the job, that's when you could start to throw maybe some other, ideas into the pot.
So what other things did Mr. Reiner want to know from you?
The way I felt that his script should be shot.
What did you want the movie to look like?
Well, I mean, I think I wanted it to, and knowing we were going to shoot on Alexa, I think I wanted it to have like a painterly look I just wanted to make it look as filmic as possible. And I think I wanted it to be, as far away from commercial as I could get it.
The film, Magic of Belle Isle, it looked very, bright, creamy, but it still had a lot of shadow where shadow would be.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know?
I think I played with it more with Morgan and with Morgan's location. It's like Morgan Freeman.
That house.
With men, honestly, like if you're making a commercial movie, you can't really fuck around with how women look because you want them, the idea is you want them to be beautiful and gorgeous and all these things. With the men, there's less of like you have to make them look beautiful and gorgeous. It's
Right.
more like you have to make them look, dramatic, like make the shot beautiful. If there's anything that looks weird on them, obviously if their skin can't take a certain type of light, then you want to soften it or do whatever you need to do. But Morgan's able to take really any type of light, and I realized very quickly like, oh, I can light him super dramatically. So here's where I can do the drama is in Dog Dave's house.
What was it like working with Morgan Freeman and, seeing him, put on a show for your lens? Was it a completely unique experience that you'd ever had, or was it?
Before we were in shooting, I cried during the table reading when he was saying some of his monologues. He's that good.
Right. Things in Magic of Belle Isle that you look at and you go, oh man, wow, I didn't think it would look that good, but it looks that good, or it looks even better than I thought it would.
I guess, I love a lot of those scenes in his house with him just alone because I was able to get, like I said, a little bit more creative. The O'Neill's house was brighter. It was all the girls. It was all the women in the movie.
Yep.
And it was more even and bright lighting. And
Let's talk a second about something completely different. Shut up and play the hits. So, one of the most revered, if you call them a group or a band, what would you call them? A band?
I mean, yeah, they're like a circus.
They're like one of the most revered musical creators
Yeah.
of the latter part of the 20th century, LCD Soundsystem. You get to make this picture, this documentary. You're smiling at me.
No, it's funny because I hardly knew who they were when I started the job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm sure that I had heard of them, but I hadn't heard their music, and maybe it's partially because I'm just not on the scene anymore. I'm
You're not partying and just,
I wasn't partying as much anymore. I have two kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and just kind of a homebody. And once I got approached about the project, immediately I was like, that sounds familiar. That name of that band sounds familiar. I'm like, who are these people? So then I looked them up, and I was like, why don't I know about them? And then I started listening to their music, and I was like, damn, I love this music. I love their music. And I was like, why didn't I know about them sooner? And I think that I just was out of the loop during that time period when they became huge.
Yeah.
And I was super lucky to get called to do it. And I think actually in many ways, I'm sure there's a million people that would be super fucking pissed to hear that I hardly knew who they were.
Oh no! I think Scorsese said that before he made Raging Bull, he was not a boxing fan at all. But this movie is, of your movies, if I may be so bold, this is my favorite one of your movies that you've worked on that I've seen, because it's like pure photography and montage with a documentary element and a concert element and just a sense of photography and sound working together.
Yeah.
In a movie about a band. How much of it was freewheeling, run and gun, you with a camera over your shoulder and two people, and how much of it was actually let's sit down and talk?
All of it was like pretty much free run and gun. I mean, the directors and I would like talk about what the scene was, what was going to happen, and then we would say, sometimes it was very general, like he's just going to be over here doing this, and then you're going to kind of follow him. When we started shooting backstage at the concert and stuff, they were like, find moments. You can find whatever moments you want. Like, they weren't directing as I was shooting. They were basically like, but pick something and stay there. Pick a very compelling shot that you can find, but don't feel the need if someone off screen is talking to pan over to that person. So that was their direction, and I think it was really, really good. And
well, that's interesting because I think that aesthetic that you just commented on is probably what underpins the non-concert action of the movie.
Yeah, that's what I loved about
it. You just feel like you feel as though you're being given a window into something, but not a panorama, a window. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Things that are interesting.
It's because the directors wanted each operator not just be an operator, they wanted DPs who were like, and they basically, the direction they gave the DPs, they gave all of us was, don't shoot it like it's a concert. Don't shoot concert shots. So because the directors did that, I think it motivated everybody to be like, oh yeah, I can get a little artistic with this. I can do something outside the box. Some of the shots were set. Like there's definitely like a wide shot from way back and the DPs were all rotating, and some were, the two people that were kind of roving the whole time were me and Spike Jonze. And I didn't even know he was going to be operating on a concert show.
Wait,
I got there and saw him.
Spike Jonze?
Yeah, Spike Jonze is friends with James Murphy, so I guess he just wanted to shoot the concert because he just thought
Spike was holding a camera.
Yeah, he had an Alexa too. So he and I were the ones who were...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when
sounds
I got
good
there,
too.
I was
You're like, hey, what's your name again? Yeah, Spike Jonze. Oh yeah, you're the guy that made some of the best movies in the past few years. Okay, cool.
It was really funny because I didn't know that he was going to be there because I didn't really... I just go with the flow with these directors. I was just like, all right, you're bringing me to a concert. I'm just going to shoot everything I could shoot from way pre-concert. As they're building the stage, I started shooting. I mean, none of the other cameras were operating at that point. I basically started the stage build, all that stuff, straight through to the after party till 3 a.m. So it was a long day. But what happened was when I realized, I first noticed Spike holding a camera, and I was like, I turned to the director, one of the directors, and I was like, is that Spike Jonze? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, no big deal. I'm like, you could have told me that, like, he was sort of awkward. Like, we're getting in each other's shots. Like, this is awkward. Like, hey, how you doing? So I was psyched, though, and it was really cool.
Could he hack it, or did he gas out?
No, I think he could hack it. I mean, they do.
Could he hack it as well as you?
Oh, yeah.
If you and Spike Jonze got into a boxing match, who would win?
Probably he would. I mean,
you really?
I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover.
You're a lover?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I could do I'm good at arm wrestling.
So if you think you could beat him in an arm wrestling match?
I don't know. I haven't seen his arms. I mean, he's wearing a sweatshirt, so.
I think he's pretty skinny. I'm pretty sure he's pretty skinny. Like, he doesn't have much, and it's all about the lats too. I understand it's like more in the lats.
Yeah.
So
if you do a lot of I'll tell you what. I do handheld like 200 days out of the year. So if you do a lot of handheld, I think you get really strong in your back. You don't really get strong anywhere else. I mean, you get a little bit strong in your legs, but you're mostly like, I'm not athletic at all. I don't exercise at all.
Right.
Once I had kids, I stopped exercise of all kinds.
Yeah.
The only exercise
I exercise all the time.
Yeah.
I'm in really, you'd probably tell by looking at me, I'm in pretty good shape. Yeah. He's my trainer. No, but but just to be clear, you, Spike Jonze, arm wrestle, who would win?
I don't know. Maybe we can do it sometime and find out.
Okay, fine. We'll set it up. Tell us about some of your upcoming pictures that you are excited about.
I did this movie called Autumn Blood, which is very weird, kind of allegory, almost like a modern day fable about a brother and a sister who lose their parents, and they're living on this alm in the mountains in the Alps. There's almost no dialogue in the movie, which is what attracted me to it. At first, I was like, okay, well, shooting in the Alps, that's pretty awesome. We're going to shoot film, 35 and 65 millimeter, and it's...
65.
We shot some 65 on it, which was pretty awesome. And
I would think that's pretty, yeah. I mean, so...
Cable cam shots, we even did a shot where we hooked up.
Was this a panty 65, or was it...
No, we worked... Ari Munich was sort of co-producing the movie, so we were able to get all our gear was from Ari. you know, we were able to do some really cool shots on that movie. We even like hooked up our Steadicam guy to a cable cam and did this whole shot that was like basically overhead of our lead character, the girl, basically following her as a bird's eye view, and then eventually eventually the cable cam comes down and we unhook the Steadicam and he seamlessly starts following her through the trees. So we got to do some fun stuff on that.
What's the name of the picture again?
It's called Autumn Blood.
Well, we're all looking forward to seeing all these pictures and seeing more from Reed Morano. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.